Surely vaccination, which is developed on animals, has saved the lives of thousands of people and eradicated diseases such as smallpox, TB, diphtheria.
No. The whole of the worldwide multi-billion pound yen vaccination enterprise is based on the United Kingdom smallpox experience, as is summarised in this graph. This graph is the graph of the decline of death rate of smallpox in England and Wales. Everything is based on this graph. These are the figures of Professor Thomas McCown of the Department of Social Medicine at Birmingham University. Unchallenged figures. If we look at the graph, we see that the death rate would have gone off the graph around 1870. But at that time, Jenner's disciples persuaded Parliament that vaccinating the people would be a good idea. At the point the vaccination campaign started, the death rate took off. It went through the roof to a peak of 42,000 deaths in 1871-1872. Then the effects of the vaccine started to wear off and it declined. In the 1920s, isolation beat smallpox. And yet they say that this is how smallpox vaccine beats smallpox. What should have seen a permanent ban of any form of vaccination ever was offered as proof of vaccination's efficiency. This is the proof, unchallenged figures. It should have scuppered the whole of the vaccination programme. Now all the graphs are the same except this one. They all show no benefit at all. This one shows a definite negative. If you look at the graph of measles decline in death rate, they were so keen to make a fat fortune out of the vaccine, they actually introduced it when the death rate had gone off the graph. And it's all like that. Vaccination did not defeat the infectious diseases. They were defeated by social measures. Hygiene, sanitation, improved nutrition, and cyclic factors of which we know nothing. Vaccination is a hoax.
So why don't doctors speak out against vaccination if it's so useless and harmful?
They're a very conservative breed, and to move out of line takes a great deal of courage, and it also requires independent thought. Now that's a very, very painful process for many doctors, so they slavishly toe the orthodox line, irrespective of evidence. And this is the same across the whole spectrum of medical practice. The chairman of the BMA Ethics Committee has said that at least 50% of current medical practices are at best useless. Some say that upwards of 85% of orthodox medical practices are unproven, but they still carry on with them. It's service to this great God, this very jealous deity. That's what keeps all the orthodox medical practices in operation in spite of overwhelming contrary evidence.
Is it true that there is some kind of financial incentive for doctors to vaccinate as much as they do?
The current figure, I think, is around £1,800 for jabbing 90% of infants on the list. So when that kind of money is involved, it all helps. It's an extra week in the Bahamas. And you've got a built-in opposition to telling the parents the whole truth. It's not just financial, it's the threat to the doctor's authority. And parents have actually been struck off doctors' lists for refusing to have their children jabbed.
Well, what about the question of the world population, which has increased enormously? Isn't that testimony to the value and efficacy of animal-tested drugs and vaccination? After all, we're all living much longer.
The world population is down to breeding and less malnutrition, less starvation in certain places. We're still dying at a huge rate, but we're breeding even faster. Now, the medical orthodoxy claim that they have eradicated certain diseases. We've seen from the vaccination graphs that this is not true. The only diseases which have been successfully treated in the purest sense of the word are the chronic metabolic disorders, scurvy, pellagra, beriberi, which have been treated by nutritional means. They're the only ones that have been really cured. The rest have been suppressed. And in the wake of this suppression by petrochemical drugs, in the wake of the deluge of petrochemicals which are saturating our planet, we now have well over 20,000 diseases and rising. Where are they coming from? I say the most likely culprit are the 200, 300,000 products of the vivisection laboratory, these dangerous synthetics. I say that's the chief culprit.
What about transplants? How do they fit into this whole scheme of things?
Firstly, all surgery, transplant surgery included, comes about because the apprentice surgeon learns his trade at the elbow of the master surgeon working on a human being. Full stop. Animal surgery tells you about animals. Everything is different about them. Secondly, transplants are the logical extension of a system of medicine gone mad. The first question that needs to be addressed is, where are all the ruined kidneys and the wrecked livers coming from? Now, we accept painkiller kidney. Painkillers are another petrochemical produced by the vivisection laboratory. What about pesticide liver and herbicide kidney and antipyretic and analgesic kidney? This is where all the liver and kidney disease is coming from. Now, what about when the patient presents himself with kidney and liver disease? How many of them are being subject to a detoxification, cell regeneration regime so that the liver and kidney can heal itself? None. They're all being given yet another petrochemical drug to cure them. And when this fails, and it always does, the next step is dialysis and then into the hands of the transplant lunatics. And immune suppressant drugs, which mean that the patient is bound to die from immune system deficiency at some time.
So, Pat, do you really believe that we can achieve the abolition of animal experimentation?
I do believe so. I shall carry on in the same vein as I have been doing for the last 20 years, talking about the moral, ethical, medical, scientific, economic and environmental aspects of vivisection. One thing I would stress, that it's not just animal rights, it's not just drugs. The concerned citizen, the green movement, the conservationists need to realise that all the petrochemical synthetics, 200, 300,000 of them, which are killing the planet in places, all the dead lakes, rivers, trees, are all down to the deluge which comes via the vivisection laboratory. All these substances, these synthetics, get onto world markets through fraudulent tests of safety and efficiency on animals. They would not have passed genuine tests of safety and efficiency. The vivisectors are quite literally costing us the earth.
If you would like more information about vivisection and how you can contribute to its total abolition, write to the British Anti-Vivisection Association, London, P.O. Box 4746, London, SE11 4XF.